What's going on, everyone? I know it's been a while, but we are back. Kevin Pound Town Palko here with my buddy Clint, and we're back making videos. And today we are in Michigan, and we are going to be speaking with a behemoth of a man. He's seeking the #1 spot in Michigan, currently #2 overall. So this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to be going over how he got into the sport. He's had a few serious, possible career-ending injuries, and at the age of 48?
48 now, but I mean, in 2 months I'll be 49.
Okay, so at 49 years old, he is still in the sport and seeking the highest level. Afterwards, we're going to get on the table, do a little bit of pulling, and even do a good forearm and bicep workout in his awesome home gym here. So this is going to be an awesome video, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to have a good time. Clint, you want to get into this?
First off, look at this guy. He's not very big. I'm pretty sure I could take him. So I guess we might have to find out about that.
Yeah.
But I think you got a better shot than me.
All right. Quick bicep pose real quick, just
yep.
to...
Ooh.
All right.
So, Dave Shay, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're 49?
I'll be 49 July 25th, so it's May, 2 months away.
Okay, so you're a little bit of an older guy, like myself,
thanks, man.
like myself. This sport of arm wrestling, I want to know, why do you do it? Like, what is so cool about it that at that age you're able to?
You can't see it from here, but over there at my home gym, I got a video. I got a poster of Over the Top. Watched that as a kid, and I just fell in love with arm wrestling back then. I was around 12 years old, so like a little kid in the video itself. I wanted to arm wrestle everybody. Big problem with arm wrestling back then, though, was we didn't have social media, YouTube, there wasn't Facebook. So I just was, the typical kid arm wrestling everybody at my lunchroom and all that kind of stuff. And anybody who I could find to arm wrestle me. Carried on, and later on in life, I wanted to go to college, but I grew up pretty poor. So I started working at nightclubs as the bouncer, and anytime some big dude came in, I wanted to arm wrestle him too. So I arm wrestled all the time at work. And it's something I've been loving since I was a child. And even after I tore my bicep, as you can see, I'm still love the sport,
For sure. Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing is, I think any kid that's ever been into strength, we've all arm wrestled in school, or we've tried arm wrestling our parents. And then once you realize it's an actual sport, there's nothing better than that.
No, I would have to say, quote me if I'm wrong here, but I think everybody in this entire world that's a grown adult, female or man, has arm wrestled at least once in their life.
At least once in their life.
Yeah,
I would say so.
What other sport can you say that, right?
Right.
I agree. In my opinion, 95% of everyone in the world, talking about a lot of people with disabilities, they can do this sport. Mm-hmm. There's a safe way to do it. And if you are with the proper people and you take your time and you learn, you can be safe. However, injuries can occur.
As we know.
Right?
Yeah. Spot on there. So what do we got next, Clint?
So I guess before we get into the injury, I just want to know a little bit about your, coming up through the sport.
How did that work? Through the sport? This could be a long story here, but like I mentioned earlier, I've always loved arm wrestling. Mm-hmm. So what really sparked my interest when I knew I was pretty good is I beat my father. It sounds far-fetched, but I was 12 years old.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, he worked for Chrysler's, and he bragged to his buddies, and they thought it was a joke. They didn't believe me. So pool hall, he took me to his pool hall, and then I arm wrestled and beat every one of his friends. And that moment on, I knew I had something special. I went to Melvindale High School here in Michigan, and at 14 years old, I remember there was this big jack dude, Andy Cathy. He's my boy. I still talk to him this day, but he was a junior and wrestler, and he was bad dude. Everybody's afraid of him. Even me, I was afraid of him too, because I wouldn't want to fight the guy. He was twice my size. Right. But our teacher in class wanted us to arm wrestle, and I pinned him too, and he wasn't very happy about that. But it's arm wrestling something like I was doing all the time back then, like every freaking day I wanted to arm wrestle. So I was building this special strength that people don't realize is a unique strength. And because I had this unique strength, I could beat dudes that were way bigger and way stronger than me, say like on a bench press or even a curl. But I had this unique strength that I was building up. My pronation, I was a top roller even back then. Somehow I just born to top roll.
Right.
And I was beating all kinds of big guys.
Yeah. So, do you think just genetically were you strong as a kid?
I think genetically, you can look at my frame. Like, I don't have really big knees or ankles, but if you look at the size of my wrist or the size of my elbow
Yeah.
and the size of my forearm, like, that's where most of my genetics came from. I have a really thick, wide hand, but I don't have a real long hand. I wish I had a longer hand.
Right.
But it's really
Right.
real wide palm.
Right.
So I think I have some gifts. And then I just loved it. So then back then, there were some arm wrestling tournaments that I went to. I should have pulled out the shirt. I have a Yukon Jack shirt.
All right.
I still have the shirt from Yukon Jack. I think it was 1994, 1995. I didn't realize how big that was. 'Cause, I mean, John Brzezinski is in that tournament.
Oh, those were the biggest ones back in the
so
day.
like Gary Goodrich.
Gary Goodrich, yeah.
He was in that. So I mean, big names back then. Cleve Dean, I think, was in
Yeah, I
that.
think so.
So I competed in that. I didn't do very well there, but I mean, I got noticed by some people, and they wanted to like take me under the wing. But I just had other things going in life. Why I never pursued actual arm wrestling. But then there was a topless bar called Leopards in Canada. I won $500 there at 19. And then it was Mr. B Spectadium. I wish I still had that trophy. I don't know where it was, but I won first place there too. And I've watched my first arm break there too. There's a big bodybuilder looking dude. He got his arm broke, and I watched him almost faint, hold his arm. And but after that, 21 years old, I started college and just never thought about arm wrestling again until I would go to the Arnold Classics to go see people. And I remember watching Travis Bajan on TV and Ron Bath on TV. They were coming on. They were on TV back then.
Yeah, ESPN.
So I remember seeing them. I was walking by the table, and they were arm wrestling people from the crowd. And I got called Delusional Dave Shay from this, but I'm not going to mention the guy in Ohio that nicknamed me Delusional Dave Shay, because I'm not going to call him out like he did me.
Yeah, yeah.
But
If he's watching, I'm sure
if
he's going to know, right?
So Michael Todd was there. He wasn't arm wrestling that day. I have a cool picture on my Facebook where Devin Lard's standing there, and Neil Pickup's right here, and Travis Badge's over here, and Michael Todd and me arm wrestled. And, I actually pinned him. And I was 30 years old probably. Michael Todd was probably 32, 33 at the time. He's a couple years older than me. And then he's like, "You from a club? Where you arm wrestling?" I said, "No, I just always loved arm wrestling. I'm good." He actually wanted to arm wrestle me again. I pinned him again. And then he was like, "I could see you." He was kind of stunned. And then Travis Bajan walked over with Mike and says, "Who is this guy from the crowd? I'm the man. I'm the man."
Typical Travis Bajan.
So he told me I had to strap up with him. He's like, I said, "I don't even know what a strap is, man. Can we arm wrestle without a strap?" He's like, No, you should be honored to pull in a strap with Travis Bajan, So he puts it on, pins me a couple times, tells the crowd he's the man. And I was walking away, then Devin Lard, I didn't even know who he was. He calls me over to see him. He's like, "Man, you train at the club?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You got some talent here, He's like, "Why don't you find a club locally and train with them? And, I'd love to see you come here. You should be arm wrestling here with us." So I found a club called Hit Squad. Scott Hazelwood was the main guy with that. And Daniel Blanchard was there. Darren Bills was there. Paul Wataka, Dan Wataka.
Yeah, that's still a lot of the top guys in the sport to this day.
Sure they were. So I started training with them. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm the kind of guy where anything I do, I go like all out, right? So I thought, I got to train heavy curls. I got to train heavy this. And I got to arm wrestle every week. So instead of helping myself, I foolishly, within about a month, and remember Scott Hazelwood would say, "Hey, slow down, man, slow down. You're doing too much." Because I was going there like a wild man.
Oh, yeah. As we all do at the beginning. I'm sure.
But I also learned that day, which I was shocked, because I remember Dan Vertalka, I was very impressed by him.
Oh, he's insane.
He was like a 176 guy at the time. He's like maybe 200 now, but I was about 240 like I always am. And I'm like, I arm wrestled this dude, and we were pretty close, and he was pinning me, I was pinning him, and I'm like, God, man, how was this 176-pound guy pinning me? I mean, that day right there, I realized I was not as good as I thought I was.
Right.
So, by the way, the Michael Todd thing, he was coming from an injury. I know that if he was not coming from an injury and he was at his level, he would have crushed me. But he was just like, so what? It's Michael Todd, and I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah,
and later on, I learned, wow, that was the man.
Yeah, you're going to take what you can get, right?
Right. So, but I learned then, how like competitive it was, and then foolish me within a month. This is why they say I think a lot of arm wrestlers, they don't even make it 1 year. Because 1 month of training like a moron at arm wrestling, I got a pain right here in my arm that sounds, pretty whippy for me to say, but I went to the doctors. I went to ER. I was almost in tears where I thought something was seriously wrong with my arm. And it lasted for months. Like I try to work out, so I'm like, forget arm wrestling, it ain't worth it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people actually go through that because you do get microfractures in your bones.
It was just terrible.
A lot of people might think they have a broken bone or
I
something,
didn't know what was wrong.
something serious.
So I was 34 when I did that, and then 2 years goes by. I never arm wrestled again. And then I saw somewhere on Facebook or somewhere that Michael Todd is like UAL champion. I'm like, no way,
I beat that guy.
Yeah, he's the champ.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to get back into arm wrestling. So I went back. I contacted the same Hit Squad guys, and then I was only there. And instead of arm wrestling for like an hour, I had like 10 minutes. I'm like, that's enough for today. And then I found videos. Devin Lard had some old videos back then that some ways to train for arm wrestling. So, I don't think the super heavy full range curl was the way to go. I started training smarter, but about a year goes by with training and arm wrestling all the time, and I was just too sore still. Like arm wrestling gets you so sore, especially your first year. So I decided to back off table time. That's not what most people would do,
right?
But for me, it helped. And then in 1 year, I won the UAL championship, and I became like number one and like basically the best amateur in the country. It was in Chicago, UAL 6. And then a year later, 2015, I just won Massachusetts State, my first state championship, Open Pro. And then I started getting my edge. And I ended up going all the way to, took 6 in the whole region for WAL. There was 25 Northern U.S. state champions. I was the Illinois state champion. And I took 6 there behind Matt Mask, Devin Lard, Marcio Barboza, and I was
elite class of people.
Yep, so I was pretty happy. I made it to ESPN. That was probably one of my highlights of my career.
Yeah.
I pulled there. I was on TV for half a second getting beat by some guy from Denmark. But, it was pretty cool. I had to cut the 225 for that. And then shortly after that, I got my first injury. But that's how I got into it. And I've never not loved it.
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to train for me because, you got to learn how your body responds, and everybody responds different. And,
completely different, yeah.
You got to stay injury free. That's the key.
So within the first couple years of you ever arm wrestling, you won 9 state titles. It seems like
my first 4 years, I won the UAL 6 amateur.
Okay.
And then I probably won 6 state titles and made it to WL final.
Nice. Yeah,
4 years.
That's impressive.
And I beat my nemesis here in Michigan at the time was Jeremy Boyd. He was a number one 242 guy forever.
Oh yeah.
And I beat him at regionals at UALs.
Yeah, I remember Jeremy Boyd when I first got into the sport in 2014, 15-ish.
Bad dude.
He was at a high level.
Big, long hand, super strong hand, fast top row, smashing a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
And he smashed me a million times, and I finally got that win on him. And I had to put that one on YouTube. That's how.
For sure.
And then, but then, I went around learning a lot of training, and then I learned pronation stuff. I went to Devin Lard's house. I went to Dave Chafee's, Todd Hutchings, Ron Bath, learn exercises they do, things like that. And one thing Dave Chafee would do, he had a big old long sledgehammer he would go back and forth with or up and down. I think the problem I did, and Devin warned me actually, because I used to talk to Devin more often back then. He's like a superstar now with 1 million followers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't want to bug him, so I don't want to contact him that much anymore.
Yeah.
But Dave would just take his wrist and do this, and I think I was going too far over and too far back. And I can't pinpoint exactly, but I believe I injured myself. And I had a TFCC ligament tear, and I went to get an MRI, and I barely had any cartilage left in my wrist. And to be honest with you, that spot still bothers me. It's worse than the bicep tear, because the bicep tear, and I will talk about that in a little bit, but they reattached me. I'm good as new, right? But this is he wanted to fuse my arm together. The doctor said, you're always going to have pain there.
You wouldn't have had any.
I would have had nothing.
Right.
So he said to me, can you work out and function without pain? I said, well, I learned how to I grabbed my weights and I would grab them on the top so my wrist would go this way. Because anytime my wrist went down, I would get extreme pain. So I had to work out around that. Like it was better doing like hammer curls. Even I couldn't supinate anything because it would cause pain.
Yeah.
So 5 years of that crap went on. And like I said, the doctor said, well, we would fuse your arm together, but no more heavy weights. You're going to ruin my precious work. And then Robert Baxter, who me and him became friends, I met Robert. There's another cool tournament called Mike Gold Classic. I took second my first year arm wrestling. The trophies over there for Mike Gold Classic in the amateur tournament. And I remember talking to Devin back then. It was 2013. I have a picture of him back then, actually, too. And I mentioned, oh, remember me? I arm wrestled Michael Todd. You know, I hear this is a big Canadian thing. He's like, yeah. He's like, don't come pull pro, though, man. He's like, this is the real deal. The Mike Gold Classic is the real deal. And so I went there and did amateur, and I took second to a guy named Tom. He was a bricklayer. I remember he was really strong hands, big dude. I was 290 pounds that day, and Tom was so a super heavyweight class. Good time. I got to meet a lot of people. I met Robert Baxter that day, and I remember RVJ was there, and afterwards he pinned RVJ. They had a super match for $100 for fun, and Robert Baxter beat him. Like, who is this dude? You know what I mean? And he also beat John Millen in a super match as well.
Nice.
That might have been the second Mike Gold Class because I went to 2 or 3 of them. I went to 4 of them because one of them turned out to be a UAL tournament too. I was there live when Matt Mask and he pulled John Brzezinski. And I remember a funny story about John Brzezinski. He was over there laying in a recliner, and I said, this guy's taking a nap in between while he's waiting to compete.
Yeah. Everybody else is warming up, getting their arms ready.
He's
fucking in a recliner sleeping.
See, I've noticed you've thrown a lot of names out there. You know, Brzezinski, Hutchins, Larrett. Not to throw you off for interview here, but do you have one guy that was maybe the most influential?
I mean, if I could go back, back in time, I think Devin Lart, to me, he's like the Michael Jordan of arm wrestling, basically. And for this dude, not even really to know me, just because he met me for 2 seconds at that tournament, Arnold Classics, and I messaged him on Facebook, and this dude allowed me to his house, and I went there and stayed the night with his family and had dinner. I just couldn't believe how amazing that was, that he was that cool of a guy who I was able to do that with. Yeah. And then I brought Daniel Blanchard with me, I brought Cam Luther with me, and I went to 4 times. I remember he wanted nothing from me. Me and Cam one time, we left $100 on his counter, and just kept it there and walked out. Because, he gave us videos and talked to us, gave us all his time. I mean, it was worth $1,000. You know what I mean?
It's almost unbelievable to even think about.
Yeah.
What other sport? You're not going to call up Michael Jordan and be like, hey, can we shoot some hoops today? You're not even going to get a call back. Or if you want to play golf with Tiger Woods, that ain't going to happen.
And you were paying in Canadian anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
But
as the sport of arm wrestling is getting bigger, I'm going to see that probably getting harder.
Well, like I said, I feel like I don't want to even bug Devin now. I'm sure maybe he would probably let me stop by, but I mean, the guy's got 1 million followers.
For sure.
He's got phone calls. He's got big things going on. He's like a celebrity now. If I go on anybody who says, hey, you arm wrestle? You know Devin Lart?
Yep, exactly.
Well, yeah, I know Devin Lart.
And I know Devin's been cool with myself and Clint.
Yep.
He's allowed us to come up to practice. I know they have open practices, and that is one of the coolest things think about arm wrestling is if you're going to arm wrestle, you're probably going to be at some point on the table with a high-level pro or somebody who's famous, I guess, in the arm wrestling community.
Yeah, as far as the question you told me about that, I mean, there's so many, I couldn't even list. Like Craig Tullier, he's a real bad dude, and for when he's opened up to me. I mean, Robert Baxter, Todd Hutchings, Devin, Ron Bath. I mean, so many names I could say that were just giving me free information. I mean, information that if you were in the bodybuilding world, you had to pay a coach for.
Oh, yeah.
These guys give me free information. But even though Devin, I'd have to say, was the beginning of opening my eyes and the coolest guy I met as far as a big time in the sport.
Absolutely.
My training, sorry, Devin, I think you're amazing. You train awesome, but I really think, for me, Todd Hutchings has it figured out. I'm more of a weightlifter guy. You know what I mean? I'm really in the gym, as you can see, and I love Todd Hutchings' style of training. But
we'll have to meet that guy sometime.
Yeah, maybe on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Tuesday night in Wellington.
But I haven't talked as much as to Todd, but I've been to his house, and if I send him a question on messenger, he'll respond.
Oh,
to me.
another great guy. He'll get back.
But I took a little bit of everybody's training, and kind of made it my own. I can't say I train like anybody exactly, but I say I take a little bit of all their training, and I do it my own way. But I'm more towards the weightlifting side and the PRs and stuff that Todd Hutchings is doing. And Todd Hutchings, to me, out of everybody in the arm wrestling world right now, nobody impresses me more. He's 58 years old. He's on top of the game. He's number one in the world at 209. And if it wasn't for guys like Todd Hutchings, John Brzezinski, and Ron Bath, I would be done. At the age of, I'll be 49. Todd just said, I watched his interview, it was an hour long with Brian Shaw. He said he's got another decade to go. I mean, if he can pull when he's 68, I can at least pull when I'm freaking 60.
Todd Hutchings personally is probably my favorite arm wrestler in the sport, as far as not just, his character, his training. I think he's probably one of my favorite. Luckily, I get to train with him almost every Tuesday if I wanted to.
He does say he's immortal. I don't know, maybe it's true, maybe it's unfair.
He seems like he is. And he's one guy that, he's had an injury earlier in his career, but ever since then, he has been injury-free and still getting stronger at 58 years old, which is absolutely
extremely inspirational.
Yeah, impressive.
And I even got to have a super match with Ron Bath, who he just won another match. I think he's going to be 63.
Yeah,
he's another inspirational guy.
It's incredible.
Didn't you have a match against Ron Bath?
I did. It was a great time, and I was honored to be on the table with him.
Okay.
I don't know how many super matches he's got left, but at the time I thought, he's about to be 61. It's probably one of his last ones, but evidently I was wrong.
Yeah, needless to say, he's still kicking ass however long later.
So thank you, Ron, for having that match with me. Another awesome dude. I love the guy.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about the injury and how it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what this video is supposed to be about, guys. Is Dave Shay, in his late 40s, sustained a possibly career-ending bicep tendon injury, correct?
Distal bicep tendon, which is the worst.
So we're going to take a little break. Stay tuned, and we're going to get into this injury, how it occurred. We'll go over on the table what exactly happened, and we're going to see how he's recovered from this and what his future is going to be. So we'll be back in just a second. All right, everyone, I hope you're enjoying this video. We're going to get into Dave Shay's distal bicep tendon injury now. So you just want to kind of explain how this happened, or, leading up to it, what do you think happened that caused the injury?
Well, here's my opinion, a couple things. All right? Arm wrestling, first of all, whenever you put your arm on that table, we take a risk, okay?
True.
And I was always more afraid of an arm break than I was a distal bicep tear. If you're an arm wrestler, especially those guys who like to come real hard to the side and you get your arm twisted and you look away, we're going to get that spiral fracture.
Sure.
That's a high risk. It's a good move. Dude, man, these guys like that Polish guy, they call him the Polish Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
He smashes people. Camille, he just comes down super fast. But if someone's strong enough to pull him out of that before he can transition, I think he's got a high risk of an arm break. Mm-hmm. All right. Devin talks about that pyramid of arm wrestling, right? Like you got the press is one side, okay, and the king's moves on the other side, and everything's kind of in the middle. Like, well, I was more towards the king's move side, where I like the open top roll, right? Where I would like, instead of like even coming back at all, I had a real strong cup, real strong pronation, real strong lat drag and back pressure. I can sit up here, both feet on the table, and pop right back. And most dudes just fall. So at Nationals, when I went there to compete,
and just real quick, how long ago was this?
That was April 4th of 2024.
Okay,
so right now,
just a little over a year
and 2 weeks ago, yeah. By the way, at that particular time, I was staying, my weight was right around 250 to upper 240s. No offense to the Nationals, but I hate the weight class 231. It just kills me because
so you had to cut a little
242 is my class, right? I didn't want to go to 231, but like I want the national title. And gosh, it's Hollywood Casino. It's an hour and a half from my house. I can compete in Nationals. I gotta go, right? So like I'm going to cut to 231. I thought my chances were better than pulling super heavyweights. So I got down. There's I forget the name of this body scan I did, but I was 3% body fat.
Really?
Yes.
So you're super dry.
And I was 3% body fat at 237.
That's insane.
I still had to cut 6 pounds of water. So I make weight early on a Friday, whatever it was. I was probably 246 the next day. But I mean, I was just dry, you know what I mean? But I felt fine. I mean, I stayed pretty lean. I probably stay, you know, I'm purposely gaining weight at the moment. I'm almost 260, but I still have abs. I'm probably still under 10%.
Yeah.
So like I was probably averaging staying around, you know, 6 or 7 is normal for me, but 3% is pretty freaking low for a straight
That is
sport.
low.
So that's one thing I think maybe I could have been too dry. And then when you're cutting water on top of that, even though I rehydrated, even though I gained 15 pounds back pretty much, I was still dry.
Yeah.
Number 2 is going back to what I was talking about, the triangle. I like to come back. So the first guy at Nationals arm wrestle, boom, you know, nothing. Came right back. He goes down. Then there's a guy named Rob Mobley over there in Ohio. Now this guy's
a bad dude.
He should be way more popular than he is, but he's kind of quiet and humble. He looks like, you know, more. I hate to say this about Rob, but he looks more like a normal dude, right?
Average guy.
Yeah, but he is
strong as a mother.
Strong. I met Rob the first time. God, I don't know, maybe 2014 at Kentucky Muscle. I didn't know who the hell he was. I was like, I'm gonna crush this dude. so I go up there and I was learning how to top roll. How I learned was from YouTube, and I watched a guy named Taurus Ivakin.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude. His videos of him, he beats Devin in a couple matches. I mean, he's a bad dude. But he liked to come back and swing back real far. So I tried this with Rob Mobley, Kentucky Muscle, and just like you have, I went back and boom. Like wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So
did not see that coming.
No. So I realized that you need, when I do that straight back deal, you're not protecting your sides at all. Like you're coming straight back. There's no protection here. So the guys like Rob Mobley, Roger Cunningham, these guys with that fast side and strong side pressure, it's kind of like my nemesis. Those are the guys. Like, please top roll me. You know what I mean? Come on, try to, or even hook me.
Yep.
I'll hook like this. If someone goes to hook like this, and I'm coming straight back, they're like, oh, you just gave me your hand. You know what I mean? Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
But with Rob, you know, he's kind of like a Todd. He can just come right through, right?
Right.
So when I went straight back, okay, I'm going to fall over a table. I do what I did, but I said, both feet were here. I went straight back. The freaking dude stops my hit. So here I go.
So this is at Nationals,
boom,
right, when
Nationals.
the injury happened.
Yeah. Oh, I could play this back. Todd, Rob Mobley back then was number 3 in the Midwest. 6 months later after Kentucky Muscle, this is kind of part of the reason why Rob was pretty excited when he beat me. 6 months later, I had a super match with Rob Mobley. I did a different move where it was called a reverse C, like this.
Yeah.
He went inside, I caught his hand. First match we had, the super match, he hung in there pretty hard. We fought. He said afterwards he wishes he would have laid down that first match. I blew his hand up. Next matches, I freaking took it to him. I beat Rob Mobley 3-0. He hasn't arm wrestled me since then. I became number 3 in the Midwest that day, like 2014, 2015. Yeah. So I think I could tell when he went to that table, he wanted revenge.
Right.
Okay?
So the next time you pulled him
Nationals.
was at Nationals in 2024.
2024.
Right.
So we're at 8 years.
Okay.
I think 8 years goes by. Rob Mobley, don't forget Dave Shay.
He wanted that revenge.
He
so
did.
Do you want to go over?
Matter of fact, the freaking dude messages me privately, asking me if I'm going to be at Nationals. He was waiting to break my freaking arm.
He wanted you.
It sounds like a good dogfight match for the future.
That would be awesome.
Right?
I'm a little scared.
Well, do you kind of just want to go over on the table what exactly happened? Clint,
so here we are, and I'm going to try to like set up. We're all set up. I was pretty confident I was going to beat him. I thought it was, my time.
Right.
I go back. He pushes. Here, okay? So I'm coming down, push more.
Yep.
I don't want to get exactly where I was. I don't want to hurt myself again.
Was he trying to curl you in?
Yeah, but I was pronating pretty good, okay?
So he's kind of just finger
so I was
pressuring
here.
you down.
I was actually, relax your arm. I was actually a little more, probably.
Okay. So
I was about here, straight arm. And I was like, wow, this don't feel as bad. I watched Michael Todd. I've watched Devin Lard be in these positions. I'm like, I think he could get tired here. I think I'm going to pronate his hand because he didn't have a cup.
Yeah,
and actually, I was going to start to climb. I thought I could.
Yeah, because you're in a great
Yep.
position.
He gets behind his shoulder, and he goes to press. Don't do it too hard on me because I don't want to freaking tear it again.
Pushing down.
But I was here, and I was still holding, but my arm was getting more straight. And then I went to surge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to bust his hand back. And with the surge, I heard it come right off the freaking bone. You could hear it in the camera. And then calm about it, really. I just tore my bicep.
You knew exactly.
Oh, and the ref was like, no way. And Rob's like, I heard it, and then, yeah, it fucking come off.
Right.
Extremely depressing. I mean, I was sitting there. I just looked at my whole brain was going like, God, man, I can't believe this just happened to me. I can't believe that here I actually heard someone say I was probably the favorite to win nationals, and here I am.
Injured.
Yeah. And not just injured a little bit, but disfigured. Okay, my freaking arm, I have pictures of it. My bicep was sitting up here.
Yeah,
okay?
rolled all the way to the top of your arm.
And I walked up to my fiance. She's recording the match. I said, we got to go. She's like, what do you mean? I go to the doctor's. I said, why? I said, look at my arm. She's like, I didn't even know you hurt yourself. I said, yeah. Well, I stayed calm. I was relaxed.
Right. But heartbreaking, though, I'm sure.
My heart dropped.
Yeah, heart dropped.
Depressing. It wasn't like I was even care about the pain. I give me pain. The pain ain't the problem. It's the fact that my whole life just changed. Like everything. My job, I work for a special education school at a center-based school. Like sometimes I have to try to deflect people off me and stuff. I can't use my arm. It just can't. It's my right arm. I mean, you can't.
Right-handed.
You can't write. You can't. I mean, so you can't eat. It was a horrible injury.
Life-changing situation.
Life-changing. Very sad. And everybody tells me, which I get sick of people saying this to me. Okay, oh, you stupid King's move. I didn't want to go into King's move. Rob Mobley put me there.
Right.
If I was strong enough or fast enough, he would have went back.
Mm-hmm.
He had enough wrist flexion and enough side pressure to take my hit to put me here.
Yeah.
Okay? Could things been different maybe if I would have set up and I would have tried to do the reverse C like I did to him a long time ago? I ain't saying 100%, but I know for a fact I wouldn't have freaking torn my bicep.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is once you start opening up like this,
Yes.
It's almost like doing a full range bicep curl. That's when we see people tear their arms.
I know.
Anytime you get stretched out like this is when you have the chance
Now,
of injuring that bicep.
these guys like Devin, Michael Todd, I mean, they train that. They're used to it. I think it's a high risk move. With those guys, they're probably used to being in a position. I don't ever want to be in a position again, but can I say I never will? I can't say I never will.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a match and you're in a spot, you got a freaking 800 people watching you, your freaking fiance sitting there. You just don't give up.
Right.
It's like you either break my freaking arm or you freaking I'll beat you. I mean, I'm not, it's in your brain. As an arm wrestler, you're not thinking, oh, I'm just going to give up because my poor little arm's going to tear. You're thinking, I got to win this freaking match.
Dave, I've done this. I've arm wrestled for like 3 years. And my big thing, for anyone that's watched the channel, is my big thing is safety. That's what I do at work. I'm a safety professional. So, we focus on the newer people. But when you dedicate your life, like you were doing, things happen. When I have little practice matches at practice, as much as I preach, I end up in the worst positions.
Yeah,
I know.
And I still do it.
Yeah.
I still do it.
And I was going to say the same thing. I mean, me personally, I've been in some pretty ugly positions.
Break arm position.
I'm in a break arm, and I'm trying to pull through a side pressure.
I mean, no offense to Cody Smith, but I just watched his match with Brandon Elliser, and I mean, he was in that position. And I was like looking, I was kind of cringing, like, oh my God. He pulled off the win, but I mean, Brandon Elliser also gets in that. I remember watching him with Craig Tullier. Remember that? Well, look at him now. His elbow's so messed up, he's getting stem cells.
Exactly.
So, again, he didn't give up his fight. He was victorious. When Devin Lart fought Taurus Ivakin, that actual match, Devin told me he destroyed his elbow.
Yeah, because he was, he didn't have any cup. He was just all elbow trying to hold like this.
He actually had to change his style after that because he had to become more of an outside puller because his elbow was trapped. He just has to keep on changing his style because of injuries.
Yeah.
But he just never gave up.
Right. And as a high level pros, we're most likely going to put ourselves in these situations. You know, King's move, straight arm, break arms, more fine. But if you're newer to the sport, you're an amateur, you're within that 1 to 3 year period, highly suggest staying out of
I
those
agree 100%.
positions.
But even look at high level pros. Look at Zura.
Yeah, it happens.
Zura is a massive pro, big, strong, freaking side pressure guy. Got his arm snapped.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like he was in that bad a position.
It happens.
Yeah, but
Mostly amateurs, but high level pros, it can still happen.
and it's crazy enough. I don't know why it was, but I think I started like a plague because in Michigan, after I tore my bicep, Darren Bills tore his bicep. Dallas tore his bicep. This is no Michigan. A guy named Ray tore his bicep in Michigan.
Really?
And then, not too far from me, Quinlan Mendes
Yeah,
tore his
I
bicep.
remember that.
And all these people are connected to me, and they're all people I've trained with, and all of them during the last year have trained their bicep. I know for sure Dallas is coming back. I know for sure Darren's coming back. I don't know if Ray's in arm wrestle, but he's back lifting.
Okay.
I haven't talked to Quinlan Mendes much. I don't know if he's coming back to
I
arm
have
wrestling.
no idea.
So Dave, do you have something in your mind that to protect yourself from the future? Is there a goal?
Is there to protect yourself? See,
Yeah.
he's asked me this question. When you put your arm on this freaking table and you're going to put yourself in a high level match and you got a guy equal or stronger than you, I hate to say this to all you guys who love arm wrestling, you always will be, and I know this coming back in the sport, at a risk of an injury.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's just like boxing. If you're boxing to the two best guys, someone has a risk of being knocked out.
100%.
If you're playing football, you could get tackled and get a concussion. If you're playing soccer, you could tear your ACL.
You could get 4 or 5 concussions
100%.
over a football career.
Exactly.
Look at Denzel Ward.
Right. So
Right.
any high-level sport that you
100%.
do, there's going to be a risk.
100%.
But we have to try to mitigate that risk and do things.
To mitigate the risk, I really trying to become more side pressure dominant.
Okay.
But I mean,
But now you got to worry about your inner elbow.
yeah, I know.
So
But I'm just going to be me. I know the risk coming back. But hey, when I talked about all the arm wrestlers, there's a risk. We're not going to die arm wrestling, guys.
Yeah.
You get a torn bicep, you break an arm, it freaking sucks.
yeah,
Imagine falling off a freaking high-powered motorcycle in a race, or NASCAR,
Yeah,
Indy 500, or boxing, getting head damage. We're not going to die. So even though arm wrestling has a risk, all sports, I mean, dude, soccer player, like you said, blow out your knee. I mean, 2 guys smash their shins together. So evidently, as you can see, most people in arm wrestling, Ron Bath has tore both biceps. Todd Hutchings tore his bicep. They're all still arm wrestling.
Right.
So there's a risk versus reward. I guess we love it enough where we're still willing to get up there and battle it out.
And I would say that for those of you watching this video that don't know who this guy is, they don't know who Kevin is or what we do, you can do the sport safely, okay? But as you do it longer and longer, different things happen. You have different progressions throughout your career. Thousands of people we arm wrestle every year, no injuries.
yeah, that's true.
Right? So it
Yep.
all depends. There's competition aspect, like this big guy's doing. There's the public aspect, but get a team. Get a team. Follow some experienced arm wrestlers.
You
You'll
can
be
hurt
good.
yourself just
Yeah.
lifting weights, man.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, actually, I'm going to see him today. He's amazing built. His name's Dan Millen. He's a good dude. Just owns a Livernois Motorsports. It's a high-powered car place.
Okay.
In his backyard with his daughter last week. Tripped over his freaking fire pit. Tore his quad off the
my
bone.
God.
Right.
He's having surgery. I'm going
Right.
to say hi to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, you can get hurt walking in your freaking backyard with your 12-year-old dog.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So I guess what we're trying to say is don't let an arm wrestling injury
Discourage you.
or what you
Yeah.
see discourage you from trying the sport, from getting on a team, from going to a tournament, because
And don't let these big guys scare you. Okay?
Right.
Just because they're bigger than you doesn't mean you can't do this.
But I don't recommend, like I said, I didn't mean to go into King's Move. I don't recommend like King's Move or a press unless you really know what you're freaking doing, because those 2 moves, like I'm pulling guys in practice and they get in press. I'm like, I know I can pull them out of there. I'm like, dude, I mean, I could pull you out of here, but I don't really want to hurt you. You know what I mean? Sometimes these arrogant dudes like, go ahead and try. Like, should I freaking rip through his arm? I mean, like, they're being fools.
yeah.
Because whenever you're here and your arm gets this way,
Mhm.
like it doesn't take much to spiral fracture your arm. So like You know, losing like this is not a big deal, but losing like this or like this,
Yeah, it's not good.
it's no good. Because normal arm wrestling, you lose here, your bicep is still 90-degree angle. You know, you're not really going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. So April 2024, you sustained the injury. What did your life look like after that? Did you have to get surgery? How was recovery?
Distal bicep surgery is a necessity, okay? If you tore your upper bicep here, they don't even recommend surgery. It's unless you Larry Wheels tore his.
Yeah.
You see how his bicep
Well,
is
he's got
kinda
that huge peak
gap.
now. Yeah.
Now, you still have most of your strength. If you have a distal bicep surgery,
So that's when it detaches from
the forearm.
The forearm.
you don't have any more supination pronation. He told me it would be hard to turn a door handle.
Yeah, you can't have
Yeah.
that.
So unless you're like a very old man, he said, then you need to get surgery.
Mhm.
Insurance covers distal bicep surgery, even though my insurance is a $5,000 deductible. So I still paid $5,000 out of pocket.
Still cheaper than what you're going to pay for
Yeah.
the
So
surgery
it kind of
itself.
sucked, but it's pretty mandatory to have surgery within the first 2 weeks. Okay, and I have a doctor of mine in Dearborn, Dr. Wright. He's an awesome guy. Like I called him Saturday. Should I go to ER? He's like, you're wasting your time. Don't even go to ER. He's like, I'm gonna get a hold of some surgeons. We gotta get you an MRI immediately. Because I see from the picture you sent me, it's torn. We don't even need an MRI, but we know it's torn. So he contacted his doctor. He was more of a shoulder surgeon, and then I went to see him on like a Tuesday, the week after, and he looked at my arm. He said, well, it kind of made me feel good in a way. But he said he's never worked on a forearm that big before in his life. He doesn't really feel comfortable because he's not really specialty. He's not biceps.
Yeah.
There's another doctor, Kyle Anderson is his name. He was a Lions and Tigers surgeon. He said he's worked on multiple big dudes before.
Yeah, and I'm sure he knows about forearms if he's dealing
And
with
he's
baseball.
specialties in biceps. I says, well, I need to get it done in 2 weeks. He's like, dude, we're friends. He's like, I will. This was like a Tuesday. He says, you have surgery tomorrow. I'm like, no way. How's this possible? He's like, the practitioner nurse will call you tonight. I'll contact them. You give them your information. Watch what happens. I think it was actually 2 days later. I had surgery 2 days later from Dr. Kyle Anderson. Scary stuff, okay? I go have surgery. He told me, I told my fiance, Christine, she came back in the room. I woke up and she's like, he said, you're not going to be happy with the results. And I was looking at her like, huh?
Yeah.
Because he knows I was an arm wrestler and everything else. I'm like, what does he mean? So I told the nurse, and the nurse got mad at Christine. He would never say that. And Christine's like, why would I lie? Like, no, this is what the doctor told me. And I'm like, well, I don't want to leave here until he explains why.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he's in surgery. I don't care. I'm going to sit here until he has a free moment. I want to know what this means. So he comes back in the room. He says, listen, Dave. He's like, I've been doing surgeries and biceps for, years and years and years. He said, you're a top 5 worst looking bicep tears he's ever seen in his entire life. So what he said was, why you're not going to be happy is 2 things. He drew a picture for me. It's in my phone. But he says, first of all, a lot of times people tear their bicep. It just tears. And, we suture it up. It looks like almost like fishing wire. And they suture it up. They drill a hole through your forearm. And they put a titanium button and flip it over on the other side. He says, yours is, when I opened you up and looked inside, he's like, your arm was like spaghetti noodles. Instead of a complete tear, you're frayed. The word he used frayed. So I had little tendons hanging all over the place. Some were way up here, some were over here. So he had to not only reattach to my bone, but before he could do that, he had to suture all these tendons together to make it to get connected before he did surgery. Why is this bad? He said. First of all, it's more evasive. He had to do more work. He's like, so you're not going to be able to go train as fast as most people can. Your recovery is going to take you longer. Second of all, I know you wanted me to do it lower. Todd Hutchings said, get it lower.
Yeah, for sure. He's
like, I think it's probably going to rise because of the frayed. I think it's going to rise. But, I mean, look at this thing, man. Like, I think it's real low. It's lower than this one. I mean, it got low.
So the
scar
actual
was it. It's where the scar.
Yeah, here's a scar here.
And look how low my bicep is. Look compared to that one. I mean, it's actually
So
lower.
the actual bicep muscle itself, right?
Yeah, it's low.
Is lower now.
I think it is, or at least as low as it was. When I went to see him after surgery, when it started to heal, he actually said he's shocked that it looks as good as it does.
So at first, were you scared that your career could be over?
It was already over.
It was over.
When I was driving home, when I tore my bicep, I was so heartbroken. And I thought at my age, at 48,
Yeah, I'm done.
I thought, arm wrestling's cool, but I mean, I don't want to put myself at this risk. I'm going to have surgery. I'm just done. So I never thought I'd arm wrestle again. You mentioned earlier, I was number 2 in Michigan overall. Well, I was number 1 in Michigan at 242 and number 2 overall. But because I said to people that I'm done, I mean, I was supposed to be on a rank for a year. They took me off the ranks in 4 months, whatever. Yeah. So I'm currently not ranked at all.
Okay.
But is at the 9-month mark, I was actually deciding I was going to train for bodybuilding. So I was doing no arm wrestling specific. I was doing really full range exercises, getting a pump, training for bodybuilding. And then I just don't have a love for bodybuilding. Like, I love to train like a bodybuilder. I like to look like a bodybuilder. But I don't have any desire, honestly, to go on stage. Like, I don't get excited to do the poses. I like the arm wrestling forearm pose.
Yeah.
That's about it. Right?
Right.
I don't want to do all this it's just not me. I just don't have. I was doing it just to do something, and I'm like, my arm's feeling pretty good. And then I talked to Christine. She's like, man,
let me try this arm wrestling thing again.
she
Huh?
actually wanted me to go back.
All right.
I was kind of surprised, and I was
Everybody loves arm wrestling.
yeah. So you know what? The hell with it. I'm going back, and I just bought this new table.
Yeah.
So I would say probably 4 months ago. Let's see, I would say the 9-month mark. So we're at 10, 11, 12, and just 3. I've only been training for arm wrestling for like 3 months. And that's it. But my strength is coming back dramatically. I'm almost back to where I was. It's been a year and 2 weeks after my injury. Actually, one of my lifts has surpassed one of my old PRs. Most of my lifts are close. Surprisingly, doesn't make sense. My side pressure, which you wouldn't think would be your bicep, but I'm lacking behind about 20% of my side pressure. I don't know why. And that's what I want my main focus to be. But I'm optimistic. My own gut feeling is by July, which would be, let's see how many months that would be for past surgery, May, June, July. I say in a year and 3 months post-op, I think all my lifts, I will achieve all my PRs and surpass some.
Oh, wow.
And I think by fall, I will be better and stronger in arm wrestling than I've ever been in my entire life.
At 49 years old.
At 49 years old. 100%.
So needless to say, the recovery went well.
Yes.
Training is going good again. And you're possibly on par to become the strongest you've ever been.
I almost can say for a fact I'm going to be the strongest I've ever been.
Insane.
Yep.
It's an incredible story. Setting up this interview, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, but I've learned a lot just listening.
Yeah.
And the doctor, he told me himself that he's shocked at how well my bicep recovered. He was surprised. He thought I was going to be unhappy. So he surprised himself.
That's awesome.
Which, knock on wood, I guess
Yeah.
I can say. But I'm very fortunate because one of my friends, I don't want to say his name, went to the same doctor as me, which this doctor is very well known, and his bicep rose. And his was nowhere near as bad as mine was. So it's kind of like, I just got lucky, man.
Just the way your anatomy is, I guess.
Yep, I got lucky.
So what's next for Dave Shay? Is it you're going for that number 1 spot in Michigan? Do you have any tournaments in mind?
Well, Michigan, for me, I've always chased national stuff. I really wanted to be on. I was number 20 in North America before. I think I was on Arm Fighter before, too. Someone told me I was on there. I didn't see it, unfortunately. But
yeah, national ranking.
Yeah.
List.
And I would like to, like you see, I've won 9 different state champions, 9 different states. I used to love chasing nationally, but I'm going to focus on Michigan for a minute. I'm ranked nothing, right? So for the first time, my arm wrestling career, I'm not ranked at all. So I'm going to enjoy climbing the ladder back in Michigan for now. Body weight doesn't matter. I mean, I've purposely tried to gain some size just to be stronger because I'm not worried about body weight if I'm going after Michigan.
Right, overall.
Just
doesn't mean you're
overall,
just the
I wanna be
biggest,
the
strongest
best,
dude
yep.
in the state.
Is Michigan one of the bigger tournaments around?
Michigan State Championship is probably the top 3 biggest tournaments in the state, in the whole country.
I'd say
They're
so.
the ones that give out the gorillas, right?
Gorillas, which I have a.
You have one of them?
Oh, yeah.
Let's show them.
Yeah, bring it
let's see
down.
it, let's
bring
see
it
it.
down.
This thing's heavier than
Yeah,
shit.
so those of you that don't know, Michigan State, it's a state tournament, but it is one of the biggest tournaments in the country. Basically a national tournament.
Now, like,
and this is the bad boy that everyone's going after.
what's pretty cool, I was at 242. This was 2015. I mean, only one person in the whole country can get a 242 first place gold gorilla per year.
Yeah.
So I was one of those people that year. Very proud of this trophy.
Yeah,
I'm very
this
excited.
is very, very
Yep.
prestigious in the arm wrestling community for sure.
So that's something that that's one of the things I like to do is chase things like that. You know, like I said, Ohio. This is more of a recent one. Won West Virginia last year and all those different things. But needless to say, I do want more state titles. I love chasing state titles, but I want to take care of Michigan. Steven Perez, I love the guy, cool dude. He's been coming a long ways. He's number 2 overall in the state. He has my rank, okay? He's doing well and he gets it, but I want it back.
So you have to go through Steven Perez to get your number 2 spot
Me
back.
and Steve talked on the phone. He's like, you want to pull Roger before me? I says, no, I don't. I says, you earned your number 2 spot.
yeah,
You're the
you
man.
won,
I says, you should have a shot at Roger before I do.
Okay.
I says, I don't even want a shot at Roger Cunningham unless I can beat you.
Yeah. So Roger is currently number 1 in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
Steve is currently 2.
2 overall.
And you are there trying to get
And
back
I'm,
into that.
I'm going to go through. I don't know if I want to start off like doing a couple of tournaments or something, or just maybe it'd be even cooler to come right freaking back out of my retirement and pull Steve right freaking first match and see if I get the number 2 spot on my first super match back.
All right.
Steve would do that. We talked. He says that one thing Steve hates was be an excuse. So for me to say, like, my arm's not 100%, he doesn't want that.
Right.
If he wants to pull
you
me,
to be at your full
yeah,
potential.
because if he beats me, he wants to say I beat the best version of Dave Shay, and I respect that. He said he's never pinned me before, and he feels like he's the number 2 that he has is because I got hurt, and he would be honored to pull me.
Oh, I'm sure he
And
wants to prove that
prove
he
that he
is the number
belongs
2
to the number
guy.
2 guy. So-
Absolutely.
So we talked, and like I said, we even talked about training together. I said, I don't know if you want to train together or not now. I mean, I would love to train with you still. I don't really care, but I told him I'm not lying or not hiding. Like, you're my first target. So he's my target. And after that, I mean, Roger Cunningham, I mean, he's had my number. I pulled him twice. I mean, I love to pull him again. I don't want to pull him unless I know for sure, you never know for sure. The guy's getting better. He's been pulling for a long time. He's very crafty. He's very smart.
Oh, yeah.
He's another one of those guys. He's not the biggest dude. He's tall as hell. I mean, he's 6'6", but I mean,
He's a hell of a fisherman. I've seen that.
oh, he's a great
I've
fisherman.
seen
Yeah, he's a
that,
good
yeah.
welder, too, I think.
He's a bad dude. He's got a lot of respect around the country now. He's done a lot for himself. One day if I can take him, because I would love to just, even if it's for one freaking day, I just want to say I was the number 1 overall top guy in Michigan for one freaking day. You know what I mean? And if I can achieve that, who knows? I might be 50 years old by then. And then, should I go back for the national level? I already had people already contacting me for super matches out of other states.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but like I said, I told them my goal right now is just kind of focusing on here.
Well, I'm sure after this interview and people see it, you'll be getting even more people contacting you for a match.
But I mean, I've only practiced one time since I've been back. I mean, kind of funny to say my first time. I went and bought this table in Canada. I went to a MAC tournament.
Yeah.
Devin Lart was there.
Definitely a different type of table.
This will
Strange.
be the first time you've been on.
Yeah,
one,
I've
right?
never been on an MAC table, so
The day I pulled there, I wasn't impressed with myself, but I was probably only training for 2 months. I mean, how good can you be if a bicep tear in 2 months of training of zero practicing? I'm just my arm wrestling specific, but I swear to you, like even today, it's been a month ago. I'm probably 20% stronger than I was that day. I mean, I'm getting stronger fast.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I know you briefly talked about stem cells with us off camera. Is that something you want to talk to the public?
Stem cells for me. I mean, I was never sponsored by anybody with stem cells. It's just something that Robert Baxter was talking to me. He's an extremely nice guy, and he knows I was suffering from my wrist injury. It took me out of the sport for 5 years. So after 5 years of my wrist injury, I refused to get my wrist fused together. I went to Tijuana, Mexico, bio-advanced stem cells, and I got stem cells. I felt it improved. A couple months later, I went back and did it again. 6 months later, I was the number 1 242 in Michigan.
Yeah. So based off your experience, they
100% helped me.
Some people say they don't. Some people say they do.
100% they helped me.
I don't know if it's the way people's bodies react to them or
I don't know. After my surgery, I went probably a month later and got stem cells for my bicep. I haven't gone back. I'm getting some weird feeling in my bicep. So when I pull like this and I pull this way, I feel like I'm getting like I don't know if it's a tendon's rolling over or something, or if it's scar tissue, but it clicks. So
if you're staying close, like with that top roll.
It's kind of more going back.
Okay.
More so than going this way.
Okay.
And it does some kind of clicking thing, even when I train with my weights. So I'm going to go to stem cells again in June, one more time. I believe it helps. I was doing like research about stem cells too. Like people say they go, well, if you got horrible knees, right, and it took you 30 years to mess up your knees, you can't expect one stem cell treatment.
Right, and now you're fixed. It's a miracle.
Every time you go there, it lasts about 12 months to 24 months. The stem cells are in your body. They're working to help healing. They're helping you collagen synthesis. They're helping rebuild that tissue. So like my wrist, for example, is it 100% since I got stem cells? No. I already told you earlier, I still have some pain in my wrist, but I was barely any cartilage left and a TFCC ligament tear. Every time I go there, it probably just builds a little bit more cartilage to give me a little more cushion.
Right. So it's allowing you to continue the sport.
And I don't even know too, like it has, I think it does. I think it just takes away some inflammation for a while anyways. So when I go and I come home from there, I just feel better. Like if I could afford to, and I'm just a school teacher, by the way, but if I was a rich, loaded guy, I'd probably go get stem cells every year. Like he said to me, a lot of people like in their 50s, 60s, they just go like, just get them in their veins throughout their body or their knees or whatever every year for maintenance. And I would do that. By the way, stem cells in Mexico, only $400 a shot, guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, $400 freaking dollars. I mean, big freaking deal. I mean, I ain't saying that.
Get me a plane ticket, baby.
I mean, what's that? 4 carton of eggs?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'm joking about the eggs, but I just bought freaking eggs yesterday. Vital Farm is costing me $50 for
Jesus, yeah.
4 things of 18 eggs. No,
Yeah. How many eggs do you have a day?
I mean, I eat 70 eggs a day, whole eggs.
70?
70.
No. 70 eggs a week.
Okay.
I have 10 eggs per day after I train. So I train, I have rice and eggs every day. Why I have eggs is because it's the highest biological value of protein of any other type of food. And easy to eat and easy to make, and usually they're not that expensive. But I mean, I guess it's really honestly still cheaper than buying a steak. But I take my eggs, put them in a bowl of rice, cook them kind of runny, and mix it up, and eat it kind of like a soup. And I just do that. I think it's a quick, good after your workout meal. And I usually average about 6 meals a day. I was on low carb for many years, but trying to bulk up right now. I've been eating extremely high carb, lots of fruit, rice, pasta. No junk. I don't eat junk food. Yeah. But I mean, like I said,
I do. I eat a lot of junk food. Yeah.
I bulked up to what I am now, which is this is maintaining around high 250s, which I can easily cut to 242. But my main goal right now is not cutting weight; it's just getting as strong as possible.
Yeah. Well, you look good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think your future is probably going to be, bright. So
I hope so.
Do you have any social media where people can follow you for the rest of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Dave Shay on Facebook, and if anybody's going through a distal bicep tear, I remember when I first tore mine, I was YouTube searching everything to find people that went through the same injury as me. So that inspired me to make some videos. We're a unique group of people as arm wrestlers. So especially you arm wrestlers, I documented everything like 6 weeks after, a month, 2, 3, 4 months, 1 year after. It's all on my channel on YouTube. My channel on YouTube is just simply, you can look up Dave Shay, it'll pop up somehow. Also, a lot of other videos of me. People like, every time they beat me in arm wrestling, they put a video of me losing on there. So you might Google my name and see me lose a bunch of times.
Just scroll through those videos and then you'll find the good stuff.
But you'll find my channel. My channel is Dave Shay, and then I got a whole documentary of my arm wrestling comeback. Well, I wasn't coming back to arm wrestling at the time, so my recovery from distal bicep surgery. But I do believe the bodybuilding style lifts, which are very full range, helped me recover.
Okay.
I think if I would have done strictly arm wrestling training, it would have probably been more tight where I can really straighten my arm.
I can see that. Yeah.
So like I think it was probably actually beneficial in the long run that I started off with bodybuilding bodybuilding.
Maybe you can show us a couple of those lifts coming up here.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the new research done in bodybuilding now is lengthened partials. So that means like the bottom portion of the lift to here is more important than here and here to building size, which the term is hypertrophy. So if you're doing chest with dumbbells, stretching your chest to here is more muscle building than from going from here to here.
Yeah, I've actually heard that. Like
Yes.
the eccentric movement where you're getting the
And
stretch could be more important than the actual contraction of the muscle.
Hypertrophy wise,
Okay.
Todd Hutchings would argue eccentric is what gets you sore. Arm wrestling is a concentric sport, trained to keep going.
Right.
So he doesn't want to get bigger. He's in a
But
weight
yeah, well,
class.
that's where the difference between bodybuilding
Huge
training and
difference.
arm wrestling
Yes.
training comes into play.
And then a lot of guys like yourself and Todd Hutchings are in a weight class, even me if I do 242. So do you really want to
Yeah,
build
we don't want to get
extra
huge.
bulk? You don't want to. So like, but completely different ways of training. Like no arm wrestler is going to train a curl from here to here, right?
No, probably
It's
not.
here to here, right? So as a matter of fact, you want your brain to feel like when you feel tension, you lock here. You don't want to feel tension, lock, and open back up. So like bodybuilding training, they're used to opening up when they feel tension. No one's doing isometrics, concentrics with bodybuilding training.
No,
It's not
no.
a typical thing.
Yeah, not. Well, Clint, before we conclude, do you have any further questions for Dave?
I don't, but I have a feeling, since we discussed a lot of cool stuff, there's going to be a lot of questions out there in the audience.
Yeah, I think so too.
so
If
Kevin-
you guys have any
yeah.
questions for Dave, make sure you write them in the comments. I'm sure either myself or Dave will get back to you within a reasonable amount of time. And
I'm going to let them do all that work. I'm just here to look good on the camera.
yeah, well, we
Yeah.
couldn't do it without you, Clint.
So no, I want to see maybe you show a couple of those moves to Kevin, some of the arm wrestling lifts that you really like,
Yeah.
and then we'll get on the table.
All right.
And
yeah.
I get two hands versus your one hand. It's only fair.
All right.
This is only my second practice back since
All
the
right.
bicep tour.
All right.
Take
So
it
if
easy
I
on me,
embarrass
guys.
you,
Take it
we
easy
all
on
know
me.
why. But, so that concludes the interview, guys. Me and Dave and Clint, I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about training and nutrition and the sport and how cool everything is, but we do have to wrap things up. Like Clint said, we're going to get on the table. I'm going to do some drilling with Dave, and then we're going to get into the gym. I'm going to pick a few of my favorite lifts. Dave, if you want to pick a few of yours, we'll just get a nice pump, and we'll make a cool workout video, so stay tuned for that as well. And then maybe after we get a good pump, we'll even check to see.
Oh man.
Let's see what kind of measurements
See
we
what
got.
we're
running
working
here.
with over here.
Because this dude, he's almost got 20-inch forearms, and there are not many people on this planet
Under 250.
under 250 that have 20-inch forearms. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe because we're gonna have a few more even cooler videos probably coming out. So until then, we will see you guys, and thanks for watching.
Like always, stay strong.
Absolutely.